Hey guys, before I get into this video, I have a request for you guys watching. If you guys know of any other poker hand replayers besides Poker Poise, let me know. Poker Poise isn't bad, but I just would rather have a better one. It's just, you know, not as clear. Anyways, we'll get right into the hand. I'm going to try this without headphones this time. So I had a pretty interesting hand here, a hand that kind of tore my Discord group into a split decision on what I should be doing in this spot. This spot was live at the Jack Casino. We were playing 2-5 no limit. And again, I'm not going to be using the solver this time because it's multi-way. And I would like to see what you guys would think what you would do in this spot. So I'm sorry, there's one limper. And I raise with black aces to 25. Main villain right here. Can you see my mouse? Yeah. He calls. He has us covered. This is like my third hand of the night, so I just had 100 big blinds. And we get 4 callers total. So about 102 in the pot. And it's a Queen Jack 10 board. And checks to me. I do not think we should be betting here. I think ACES falls into this range that is, it's too middling to bet. So I think like check calling is like totally fine. And so main villain bets 75 into 100. So I think here, and it folds down to me. I don't think we're going to play any raises. I mean, obviously a king is the nuts, but when you bet into 4 people, usually your hand should be pretty tight. Your range should be tight. His sizing, 3/4 is pretty big. So laying a bad price for us. Kind of a weird bet. I know the villain. So he actually overplays his hands a lot. And if he's on a draw, he'll just like put it in and like not care. So like, he could have a draw here. I mean, but this is usually a tight configuration. I go ahead and make the call. 7 of clubs on the turn. Pardon this site again. Like this is why I need a new website for this. And he goes ahead and jams. So it was 252 and he puts me all in for 400. And this is where like, okay, there's times in poker where your gut is telling you that there's something going on. So there's a decision. There's an option that usually you know what you should probably do most of the time. Like to me, this is like a clear fold, right? I mean, if you're jamming here, like you should have 2 pair, right? But we'll go over actually if he has 2 pair. But alarm bells were going off. Like this guy overplays his hand, and like, it just didn't feel. I can't explain, but like, I had the option to fold, but I like knew it should be could be a call. And what ended up happening was that I asked him, I said, "What do you think I have?" And he goes, "I think you have clubs." Which is nonsense. He was just talking out of his ass. He's like an older guy, like kind of like a fish that's been like doing okay. He's pretty aggressive, so he actually does pretty fine. And I said to myself, I think I said out loud actually, the only bluff that you could have here, I think, because like his king queens. I don't know how to explain this, but I just knew he didn't have king queen. I think it's because he might raise king queen. I think he might just play more passive king queen because he has showdown. So, and he doesn't have any of the sets. maybe tens. But anyways, and I heavily block the ace, the top pair with ace kicker. So I said, I think your bluff here is king jack, and I folded, and he had king jack, and I posted this into my Discord group, and luckily, I'm in a group with really good poker players, and with further analysis, even if we give him mostly two pairs, we will see that it's actually a profitable call. So my friend of mine, I'm going to bring this up. Shout out to, I'll just call him B Money for now. You know who you are. He gave him, my opponent, this range. And although I agree with it mostly, I don't know how many combos of king 9 he really has and king queen. He might 3-bet king queen at a pretty decent frequency. I also think he might play king queen as more passively since he has more showdown value with the top pair and good kicker. And king 9 just seems kind of spewy, I guess. But I don't know. When I think about it, he might have it. So we could give him a little bit of tighter range. And he put this in an equity calculator, which is sort of like the old school way of solving poker or figuring poker hands out. And instead of using a solver, we can use an old school equity calculator. And again, shout out to B Money. He ran it through his equity calc, and you get something like this, where we have 40% equity versus his 60% equity, and which means we only win 40% of the time. That means a lot of people might think, oh, then that's a pure fold. You only win 40% of the time. Now, this is why math is important in poker and why people, especially newer players, get this spot wrong. And it's because of pot odds. And this is why it's so important to calculate pot odds in your games always. But with the overbet, we're getting 1.7 to 1. Represented as a percentage, that's 37%. That means we need to share the pot 37% of the time. AKA, we need to have 37% equity. Well, this equity calculator, as you can see, gives us 40%. And even if we shave off a couple percentage points, making the range a little bit tighter, like I said, like king 9, king queen, etc., we can get down to like 37%. That means, on average, this is at least a break-even spot in terms of EV. And actually, if we give him this exact run out, or this exact hand and range, it's plus EV. So this shows the math and why it's so important. So if you go back to the hand, it's actually plus EV to call. And although, and sort of my argument was in this spot, a lot of players, when you go multi-way and they bet two streets, they bet 3/4 on the flop into a field of 4 people, and then they jam turn. We see by using the math that it's actually a plus EV call. And this shows the importance of not just relying on solvers to make plays, but also running some equity calculations and realizing that the math needs to line up and that pot odds is extremely important. So I hope you guys learned something about, not just the math of poker, but understanding that sometimes you need to run spots into an equity calc just to get a feel for certain spots in poker where you're unsure how much equity you actually have. So this is part of the part of poker that you have to do the work off the board, because you can't just know that you have 40% equity here. You might have a rough idea, but by running an equity calculation and then understanding pot odds makes you realize that this is actually a plus EV call. So if you like this, guys, give me a like and a subscribe, and I appreciate it. See ya.